Okay, time to hit the books. Or, well, the text file, as the case may be. Let's get the music going here. There we go. All right. This is every question. Hold on, let me scroll. Ready? This is every question that could possibly be on the FOI exam. And the correct answer for all these questions for Fundamentals of Instructing, which I'm taking in 2 days. So, I'm going to read them and memorize them. At least that's the plan, is to memorize them. Educational objective levels for the cognitive domain include objective levels. All right. So the different levels of the objective. We want to recall them, comprehend them, apply them, analyze, and evaluate. All right. Recall, comprehension, application, analysis, and evaluation. Which statement is true about an instructor's critique of a student's performance? It should be as varied in content as the performance being evaluated. Evaluation of demonstrated ability during flight instruction must be based upon established standards of performance suitably modified to account for the student experience level. Which stage of skill acquisition may be characterized by student ability to assess personal progress and make adjustments in performance? The associative stage. Because if they're able to assess their progress and make adjustments, this doesn't make any sense. Skill acquisition. Stage of skill acquisition. Level of objective for cognitive domain. There's too many different levels and things to memorize. Okay. An adequately developed lesson falls logically into which steps in the teaching process? Preparation, presentation, application, review, and evaluation. How can an instructor help an impatient learner understand the need for preliminary training? The procedure and elements mastered in each step should be clearly identified in explaining or demonstrating the performance of the subsequent step. Which statement is true concerning motivations? Motivations may be very subtle and difficult to identify. Evaluation of demonstrated abilities is modified to apply to the learner's experience and stage of development. Taking physical or mental flight is a defense mechanism students use when they want to escape from frustrating situations. The basic telling and doing technique of instruction consists of several steps in proper order. They are: the instructor tells, the instructor does, the student tells, the instructor does, and then the student tells and the student does. The grouping of perceptions into a meaningful whole is called insights. Insights are a group of perceptions. When a student uses excuses to justify inadequate performance, it is an indication of the defense mechanism known as rationalization. They gotta figure out why it's something's fault other than them just being bad. Which one of these situations shows repression as a defense mechanism? A student is afraid to bring the airplane to a complete stall. inhibiting the learning of the maneuver. I did that when I was in private pilot training. Drill and practice method of training delivery is based on the learning principle of exercise. Doing it. Alright. Which of the following correctly identifies the accurate perception and understanding of the factors and conditions within the 4 fundamental risk elements that affect flight safety? Situational awareness. Situational awareness is the accurate perception and understanding of the factors and conditions. What is one advantage of a lecture? A lecture uses time very well. Education objective levels for the psychomotor domain include observation, imitation, practice, and habit. When it is impossible to conduct a scheduled lesson, it is preferable for the instructor to conduct a lesson that is not predicted completely on skills to be developed during the lesson which was postponed. I think that predicted is supposed to be predicated, but that's okay. If Bill teaches landings to Beverly on the first flight, she is likely to feel inferior and frustrated, which weakens the intended learning connection. Which law of learning is demonstrated in this scenario? Effect. What is a primary consideration in planning for skill acquisition? Time devoted to practice. One of the main advantages of selection type test items over supply type test items is that the selection type will be graded objectively regardless of the students or the grader. Major levels of learning for the Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive domain. Oh my goodness. Knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. I'm just going to remember that Bloom's has the synthesis. It's the only one with synthesis. When developing an instructional activity, what is the next step after the overall objective has been established? Identifying the blocks of learning. What if I use my one letter here? Okay. A written test with discrimination specifically allows for identification of small difference in student achievement. Initially, all learning comes from perceptions. Which obstacle to learning is a greater deterrent to learning pilot skills than is generally recognized? Impatience. A lesson plan, if constructed properly, will provide an outline for the teaching procedure to be used in a single instructional period. What is one characteristic of an authentic assessment? It requires the learner to exhibit in-depth knowledge. The affective domain provides for teaching in which 5 levels? Awareness, response, value, organizing, and integration. The basic demonstrate performance method of instruction consists of several steps in proper order. They are explanation, demonstration, student performance, instructor supervision, and evaluation. To communicate effectively, instructors must reveal a positive attitude while delivering their message. The effectiveness of communication between instructor and student is measured by the similarity between the idea transmitted and the idea received. Effective use of instruments resulting in improved cross-country navigation, coordination, and pilot competency is the benefit of integrated instruction. During the flight portion of a practical test, the examiner simulates complete loss of engine power by closing the throttle and announcing simulated engine failure. What level of learning is being tested? Correlation. What is one advantage of a lecture? A lecture is effective in showing relationships between theory and practice. Which type of test item creates the greatest probability of guessing? True, false. Which test item is more likely to utilize rote memory than knowledge of the subject? True and false. In which stage of skill acquisition is a student when they're able to explain the steps involved in flying a traffic pattern but not able to perform a task? Cognitive. Students quickly become apathetic when they perceive that the instructor is not adequately prepared. A sign that a student may be experiencing acute fatigue is neglecting secondary tasks. Chronic fatigue is much worse, obviously. Alright. Which statement is true regarding professionalism of an instructor? Anything less than a sincere performance destroys the effectiveness of the professional instructor. The selective process, where the sensory register recognizes stimuli and transmits them to short-term memory, such as when a sensory register recognizes a fire alarm, is called pre-coding. Commercially developed test preparation materials should be considered only as a supplement to the FAA material and instructor-led training. What is a possible consequence of overlearning? Use of automated routines could fail to detect a problem. Before a student can concentrate on learning, which human needs must be satisfied? The biological ones, also known as the what are they called? Not psychological, but the physiological. Yeah. Performance-based objectives consist of which three elements? Description of the skill, conditions, and criteria. What is meant when a test has the characteristic of reliability? The test is consistent with repeated measurement. The main advantages with heterogeneous groups that our students tend to interact and achieve in ways and at levels that are rarely found with other instructional strategies. Which is a characteristic of an authentic assessment. It requires learners to demonstrate not just rote and understanding, but also the application and correlation levels of learning. Which law of learning is the instructor using when preparing the learner for real-life situation? Intensity. Which would most likely be an indication that a learner is reacting abnormally to stress? Inadequate, illogical, random, or absent response to the situation, also known as like singing or screaming. Someone joined VC. Howdy there.
Howdy.
I'm having fun. How about you?
I think I'm gonna read again.
I think around like 8 o'clock will be time to watch 3 episodes and then go to bed.
Hey, don't forget Chainsaw Man.
3 episodes of Hunter x Hunter and 1 episode of Chainsaw Man and then go to bed.
Oh, that's like, what, 1 hour?
Hour and a half.
Oh, but I gotta cook food for tomorrow.
Oh, okay. You cooking me food too?
No.
Dang. You bringing me brownies at least?
Myself. Yes.
Let's go! I'll buy ice cream. You can make
I
brownie
was thinking of
sundaes.
buying ice cream today, but then I was like, no, I've spent so much money.
You're right. I spent so much money, I probably shouldn't, but it's ice cream, you know?
Do you want me to bring caramel sauce too?
I don't especially love caramel, to be honest.
Oh, but that's all I drink.
Drink?
Yeah, like coffee, caramel flavored coffee, caramel
Oh.
macchiatos.
I thought you were drinking just the sauce, like the
Oh, that's
caramel
what you
sauce
just reminded me
straight
of.
out of the cup. Like you're straight out of the bottle, you're just like chocolate syrup, you're just squirting it in your mouth. As one should. Clearly.
Okay. I need to find coffee cups.
Why is that?
Or like bottles. Because I want to use my hydro flask for water. I don't want to use it for coffee.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Back to learning. What is a common mistake among instructors at the application level of learning? Not to teach at a higher level. Lesson instruction is important to set the stage for everything to come. Introduction, sorry. Lesson introduction is important. Insights as applied to learning involve a person's relating and grouping of associated perceptions. Section E is titled Instructors' Actions. Press E for Instructors' Actions. The most significant characteristic of group learning is active participation of the student. Which teaching method requires less time to present a given amount of material? Teaching lecture method. During training flights, an instructor should interject realistic distractions to help the student develop the ability to determine whether a particular distraction warrants further attention or action. Which law of learning is used when an instructor teaches a classroom scenario followed by a real-life practice? Recency is scenario and practice.
I'll be back. I want to get brownies. Wheat brownies, just kidding. How
is learning achieved while using a guided discussion training delivery method? Categorize questions by function and characteristics. Aviation instructors should be constantly alert for ways to improve and the services they provide to their students, their effectiveness, and their qualifications. For the integrated method of flight instruction to be fully effective, the use of instrument reference should begin the first time each new maneuver is introduced. The properly developed lesson plan should promote uniformity, regardless of the instructor using it. A sign that a student may be experiencing acute fatigue is lack of awareness of error accumulation. Evaluation of demonstrated ability during flight instruction must be based upon established standards or performance suitable to modified to the student's stage of development as a pilot, which is generally the more effective way for an instructor to properly motivate students. Provide positive motivations by the promise or achievement of rewards. What is one major reason for understanding the cognitive domain? To assist the learner in correlation and application. The proper sequence for the subparts of an introduction is attention, motivation, and overview. Which method of presentation is desirable for teaching a skill such as a ground school lesson on the flight computer? Demonstration, performance. What type of question will be answered based on memory or recall on an oral test? A fact question. In a written test, which type of selection type test items reduces the probability of guessing correct responses? Matching. An application strategy for dealing with a learner who projects the blame for shortcomings onto others is assigning reasonable and obtainable goals. Which of the following is a common property of defense mechanisms? They tend to distort, transform, or otherwise falsify reality. Where is information for future use stored? Long-term memory. A systematic classification scheme for sorting learning objectives is referred to as a taxonomy. Which is acceptable procedure when using the integrated method of flight instruction? Instruction in the control of an aircraft by outside visual reference is integrated with instruction in the use of flight instruments for the same operation. In developing a lesson, the instructor should organize explanations and demonstrations to help the student achieve the desired learning outcome. Perhaps the most significant characteristic of group learning is that students tend to actively participate in the learning process. Which factor affecting perception is proportional to the effective use of a properly executed training syllabus, time, and opportunity? Which statement is true regarding assessment of student learning? Assessment of student learning should be an integral part of each lesson. Providing opportunities for a student to practice and then directing this process towards a goal is the basis of the principle of exercise. Section F is titled Student Actions. Evaluation of student performance and accomplishment during a lesson should be based on objectives and goals established in the lesson plan. Which statement is true regarding the achievement of an adequate standard of performance? Flight instructors fail to provide competent instruction when they permit students to partially learn an important item of knowledge or skill. In the communication process, the communicator will be more successful in getting and retaining receivers' attention by using varied communicative approach. How is that for a varied communicative approach? When a student becomes bewildered and lost in the advanced phase of training after completing the early phase without grasping the fundamentals, the defense mechanism is usually in the form of resignation. Which is the main disadvantage of supply type test items? They cannot be graded with uniformity. Faulty performance due to student overconfidence should be corrected by increasing the standard of performance for each lesson. Break his will. What makes an oral question effective? Adapting it to the learner's stage of training. Effective domain relates to attitudes, beliefs, and values. Which is a reason valid for the use of proper oral quizzing during a lesson. It reveals the effectiveness of the instructor's training methods. In organizing lesson material, which step sets the stage for everything to come? Introduction. How can recoding be described? The relating of incoming information to concepts or knowledge already in memory. Perception is a result of a person giving meaning to sensations. Student confidence tend to be destroyed if instructors bluff whenever in doubt about some point. Every lesson, when adequate development, falls logically into the steps of the teaching process: preparation, presentation, application, and review and evaluation. In a guided discussion, learning is achieved through the skillful use of questions. A written test has validity when it measures what is in the lesson objective. The method of arranging lesson material from simple to complex, past to present, known to unknown, is one that shows the relationships of the main points of the lesson. Things that most often repeated are best remembered because which principle learning? Principle of exercise. The most complex outcome in the affective domain is characterization, which principle of learning often creates strong, almost shakable impression. Principle of primacy. What is a characteristic of a supply type test item? The same test graded by different instructors are probably given different scores. A comprehensive written test effectively measures the overall objectives. Which principle of learning often determines the sequence of lectures within a course of instruction? The principle of recency. What is one purpose of performance-based objective? To set measurable, reasonable standards. Insights, as applied to learning, involve a person's grouping of associated perceptions into meaningful wholes. Which statement is true about an instructor's assessment of a student's performance? It is a step in the learning process and not just in the grading process. In the teaching process, which method of presentation is suitable for presenting new materials, for summarizing ideas, and for showing relationships between theory and practice? That would be the lecture method. An instructor may foster the development of insights by helping the student acquire and maintain favorable self-concept. The educational objective levels of the affective domain are awareness, response, value organizing, and integration. Which is true regarding the teaching lecture? The teacher must develop a keen perception for subtle responses from the class. The main concern in developing a lesson plan is the student. What is the most productive ways to develop skill acquisition? Memorize the process as a whole. A question directed to an entire group to stimulate thought and response from the group leader is identified as overhead. Which is a true statement concerning the use of instructional aids? Instructional aids should be designed to cover the key points in a lesson. Which principle of learning implies that a student will learn more from the real thing than from the substitute? That would be the principle of intensity. Motivations in the form of what? No idea.
What?
Reproof and threats should be avoided with all but the student who is overconfident and impulsive. So you can threaten your students if they're overconfident and impulsive? Let's go! I swear I will turn this airplane around.
And I will make you land it.
Guess what? Guess what? Engine failure.
Not so confident now, huh, buddy?
No, you failed. Bad job. Certain Marine likes the way that works.
Former Marine.
Former. I mean, once a Marine, always a Marine. You just love crayons, you know what I mean? What human needs become the primary influence on behavior once the student feels physically safe and comfortable? That would be belonging. They just want to feel accepted. The poor students.
I kind of want to play Apex.
Bruh, you played for like 3.5 hours today.
I know, but I was reading in between. I'm almost done chapter 6 of this book, which is, you know, it's bad because it's only 52 pages and I can read 52 pages in an hour, but it's fine.
No, that's good. Proud of you.
I'm halfway done this book. I did skip chapter 5 and 4 because, like, I don't care about sectionals and I don't care about airspace. Like, just learn that off of a section. No, it's like it was teaching about sectionals and like things you should look out for on a sectional. But you should just learn that from looking at a sectional.
Which would be more likely to result in the student becoming frustrated, telling their students their work is unsatisfactory with no explanation. By using abstractions in the communication process, the communicator uses words that stand for ideas that cannot be directly experienced. True performance as a professional is based on study and research. A communicator's words cannot communicate the desired meaning to another person unless the listener has some experience with the concepts to which these words
Don't say
refer.
it like that.
In planning any instructional activity, the
Don't
first
say it like that
consideration
either.
should be to determine the overall objectives and standards.
I need to sound like a girl though, you know, because I gotta shave my beard and like be an e-girl streamer.
Do not shave your beard.
What term is used to describe the learning of a particular maneuver or skill that may hinder the learning of another maneuver or skill? Negative transfer.
Do I sound like a deep-voiced mommy? Like on, not Apex, but Valorant.
Don't.
Do I sound like a deep-voiced e-girl on Valorant?
Don't stop.
What should an instructor do with a student who assumes that correlations of error is unimportant?
Raise the standard of performance for each lesson, demanding greater effort.
Practical tasks for pilot certification are criterion referenced. What systematic approach to the mental process does the pilot consistently apply to take the best course of action in a given situation? That would be the aeronautical decision making. Gorge, the principle that is based on the emotional reaction to the learner is the principle of effect.
Can you not?
Examples of outcome endorsements can be found in the current issue of AC 61-65, Appendix 1.
No? No? Okay. Probably the greatest single barrier to effective communication in the teaching process is the lack of common experience level between instructor and student. The educational objective levels for the cognitive domain are knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. I feel like I already read this one. At which point of learning do many instructors mistakenly stop teaching? Application. Oh. I don't know the question here. That's okay. Don't mind me.
You sound like
What type of training has been...
Rick.
I sound like Rick.
Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick. Look, Morty, I turned myself into a pickle.
No, what the voice you were doing before sounded like Rick.
What type
Oh,
of
no.
training has taken place when a student learns to fly an airport traffic pattern as a rectangular course? Positive. Which of the student's human needs offer the greatest challenge to an instructor? Self-actualization. One possible indication of a student's abnormal reaction to stress would be extreme over-cooperation. They just do whatever you want. You just be like, hey. No, I'm not going to make that joke. Section B is titled Content. Section C is titled Schedule. When an instructor has communicated effectively, the learner will understand concepts transmitted by the instructor as intended. Aeronautical decision-making can be defined as a systematic approach to the mental process by blah, 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 set of circumstances. We know that one. What does a written test... You know what? You're going to like have all of these memorized when it's time for you to actually take it. They're just going to be like in your subconscious. What does a written test having the characteristic of discrimination do? Differences between learners. level of learning is being tested when the learner asks, how does gross weight affect maneuvering speed? That'd be understanding. The first step in preparation of the lecture is to establish the objective and desired outcome. How's the reading?
Good.
Dang, I was hoping I have a snap when I open my phone. What a shame. The first step in preparing lectures is to establish objective and desired outcome. When students subconsciously use the defense mechanism called rationalization, they cannot accept the real reasons for their behavior. Which method of presentation is desirable for teaching a skill such as a ground school lesson on a flight computer demonstration performance? In a guided discussion, learning is achieved through the skillful use of questions. I've definitely had that question like 3 times on here. I think this has repeats.
Or they could be similarly worded questions.
Nope, it's repeats. What makes an oral question effective? Adapting to the learner's stage of training. Evaluation of demonstrated ability during flight instruction must be based upon established standards of performance, suitably modified to account for student experience level. No, I definitely had that one before too. Which statement is true about an instructor's critique of a student's performance? It should be as varied in content as performance being evaluated. A sign that the student may be experiencing acute fatigue is neglecting secondary tasks. Okay, definitely had that exact one before. Educational objective levels for the cognitive domain include recall, comprehension, application, analysis, and evaluation. What is true concerning learning plateaus? Ah, here's a good one, plateaus. Instructors themselves can bring on learning plateaus through over-practice. Why would the instructor want this learner to retreat through a atrocity of praise and development? That was not even an accent. That just didn't exist. Okay, so the learner will be able to assess their own progress and make adjustments. In the learning process, fear or the element of threat will narrow the student's perceptual field. The ability to retrieve knowledge or skills from memory is primarily related to how often that knowledge or skill has been used in the recent past. You don't use it, you lose it. A learner who displays painstaking self-control, even to the smallest detail, is experiencing an abnormal reaction to stress. So me? When is the use of instructional aids most effective to reinforce what is being taught? What type of learning has taken place when new information displaces previously learned information? Negative learning. Which of the following is an appropriate method for the development of an effective true-false question? Include one idea per statement. One method for an instructor to minimize the learner's feelings of insecurity is by keeping learners informed. Which is one of the major difficulties encountered in the construction of multiple choice test items, inventing distractors that will be attractive to students lacking knowledge or understanding. Which the following is an example for learner to demonstrate a psychomotor skill, learning or performing a maneuver for an observer. Which statement is true about multiple choice test items that are intended to measure achievement at a higher level of learning? Some or all the alternatives should be acceptable. Only one should be clearly better than the others. So basically every single FAA exam. Well, these ones anyways, like commercial and FOI and FIA. After instructors respond to student questions in a classroom setting, frame an answer as directly and as accurately as possible. The STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. And then they added an A for art. And then they added like a Y at the end for your mom.
I was gonna ask what the Y meant. I don't get why they added A for art.
Like I get it,
They
creativity and
shouldn't
stuff, but like, sorry, but
STEAM.
people who can paint
Not.
is not the same as science, technology, engineering, and math. Because science, technology, engineering, and math all go hand in hand. Art does not. It does not require any
Well,
of those
maybe it is.
things.
Depends on what you're drawing,
Like,
I guess, but most of
no,
the
but,
time,
like-
art does not have to do with it.
Yeah, because like you can't have science without math. You can't have science without technology, right? You can't have engineering without technology or science or math. You can't have technology without engineering or science or math. And you can't have math. Well, you can have math on its own, but who wants to do math on its own? There's like literally no reason for it unless you have engineering, technology, and science to use it on. So anyways, the STEM is the part of a multiple choice test item consisting of the question, statement, or problem. When new events displace things that have been previously learned, it is called interference. Studies of skill learning suggest that a student achieves better results if distractions are avoided during what type of practice? Deliberate practice. Which statement is true regarding lesson plans? Lesson plans help instructors keep a constant track of their own activity as well as that of their students. Which statement is true regarding positive or negative approaches in aviation instructional techniques? There's no answer on it, so that's cool. What is a primary consideration in planning for skill acquisition? Time devoted to practice. What term is used to describe the learning of a particular maneuver or skill that may hinder the learning of another maneuver or skill? Negative transfer. In the communication process, the communicator will be more successful in gaining, retaining, and receiver's attention by using a very communicative approach. A communicator's words cannot communicate the desired meaning of another person unless the listener has some experience with the concepts to which these words refer. Which statement is true regarding assessment of student learning? Assessment of student learning should be an integral part of each lesson. The method of arranging lesson material from simple to complex, past to present, and known to unknown is one that shows the relationship with the main points of the lesson. The main advantages with heterogeneous groups are that students tend to interact and achieve in ways and levels that are rarely found with other instructional strategies. What are the elements of demonstration, performance, method of teaching? Explanation, demonstration, student performance, instructor supervision, and evaluation. An instructor's critique of a student performance should provide direction and guidance to improve performance. Which is a true statement concerning the use of instructional aid. Instructional aids should be designed to cover the key points in a lesson. With regard to the characteristics of a well-planned lesson, each lesson should contain new material that is related to the lesson previously presented. What is one advantage of a lecture? A lecture is effective in showing relationships between theory and practice. Should I get my AGI? Because then I can get
If you want.
Because then I can get the gold seal
What's the gold seal?
on your license.
What?
If you have 10 students pass in 12 months, right, pass check rides, and you have a 90% pass rate, and you have your advanced ground instructor certificate, then you get a gold seal on your license. Which means like your instructor, your CFI license, instead of that little seal on the bottom right being silver, it's gold.
Why?
Because you're special.
Ah. Well, most pilots like to be special because they don't have anything to...
Yeah, but like among pilots,
feel
you get to
proud
be an
of.
even specialer pilot. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, you will never be a Cirrus pilot, that's for sure.
Dang, you right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never be able to pull a parachute when I have any minor inconvenience. What a shame. The funny thing is, Cirrus is the first like certified people to do it, but like ultralights and experimentals have had those forever. So like you're gonna tell me that this extra luxury thing is literally just the thing on like these garbage little open cockpit like 40 horsepower Rotax things.
How dare you?
They're like, yes, we're gonna do that.
Take it back.
Never. You know I'm right. That's right. That's right. Overlearning sometimes occurs when knowledge used frequently begins to take on the properties of a skill. Chronic fatigue occurs when there's not enough time for full recovery from the repeated episodes of acute fatigue. The basic demonstration performance method of instruction contains several types in proper order. They are explanation, demonstration, student performance, instructor supervision, and evaluation. What is a condition of long-term memory? Activated by existing schemas before preventing new information. Which law of learning is used when an instructor teaches a classroom scenario followed by a real-life practice? Recency. Why must an instructor create and assemble learning blocks in the proper relationship to help the learner master individual segments and progressively combine them into related segments and to achieve the desired objective? When would using authentic assessment be desirable? Evaluating the learner's ability to use higher or tasks before a learner can concentrate on learning, which human needs must be satisfied. Physiological. The instructor can correct student impatience by presenting the necessary preliminary training one step at a time with clearly stated goals for each step. The main reason that students are put in cooperative learning groups is so that they can individually achieve greater success than if they were to study alone. What information is pertinent to understand the use of instructional aids? Instructional aids should be straightforward, factual, and simple. Instructional aids used in the teaching and learning process can be used to clarify the relationship between real objects and concepts. An example of skill involving the cognitive domain would be determining information required for a logbook entry. Good song. Remember when this was big on TikTok? What is a condition of long-term memory?
I can't hear that music.
Turn it up.
Don't want to.
Okay, it's good. Activated by existing. What is the purpose of using distractions during training flight to determine if the learner has the ability to divide attention while maintaining control of the aircraft? What is the function of risk management decision-making process designed to identify hazards systematically? The demonstration performance method is based on the idea that people learn best by doing. An aviation instructor should write performance-based objectives that fit the desired outcome of a particular lesson. What law of learning is demonstrated when the instructor provides opportunities for a learner to practice what has been taught in order to understand and remember the learning? Exercise.
Do you want to know something?
What?
I get 5% back if I use my credit card on Lululemon.
5% on Lululemon?
15% back on North Face.
Dang. 15?
That's what it said.
Should buy some North Face. Better than Lululemon anyway.
I'm planning on it actually, but I'm just waiting for the sales to go down.
North
For
Face.
sales to start.
Yeah. North Face jackets. Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll buy a jacket, but I'll definitely buy like a really nice sweater.
Hmm. Providing corrections or criticism without explanation can frustrate on the part of the learner. In order to be effective, a critique should be as varied and content as
8% back on Shark. I'm so sorry. I just.
Oh.
As a statement credit to earn credit, click the button above and complete your purchases using your card.
Yes.
In the browser that opens for using.
On Shark, I know what you're getting.
Purchases made through a merchant's app will not qualify for the rebate.
That's like almost $25 off. Oh, you have to buy it in the store.
No. It says click the button above and complete your purchase using your Capital One card in the browser that opens.
That seems sus.
No, it's like from the actual website because I pressed it from my app.
Okay.
Why? Let me test it on something.
Critique should be very... example of skill involving psychomotor domain would be programming a global positioning satellite receiver. What is the most important consideration in test evaluation with respect to validity? The extent to which the text measures what it's supposed to measure. Which statement is true about lesson plans? After lesson plans have been established for a training period, continuous revisions may be necessary. Why we should instructors have good learning of the learner's effective domain? It will provide a guide to help learners' feelings, values, motivations, and attitudes development and assembly blocks of learning for the proper relationships will provide means for allowing the student to master segments of the overall pilot performance requirements individually and combining these with other related segments. The assignment of reasonable goals that the students consider difficult but possible usually provides a challenge and promotes learning when desirable. So the proper
so you're
oral
actually
quizzing
not
by the
learning
instructor
anything.
is... No, I am absorbing this quickly. Reveal the effectiveness of the instructor's training procedures. Chronic fatigue is a combination of both physiological problems and psychological issues. Which statement is true for the effective multiple choice test items? Items may include several options that are plausible. Education and objective levels for the cognitive domain include recall, comprehension, application, analysis, and evaluation. Which statement is true about an instructor's critique of the student's performance? There should be a various content. Okay, that's definitely been on here like 5 times already. That's okay. Evaluating student demonstrated pilot ability is to instruct to keep the student informed of progress. Which memory system processes inputs from the environment? That would be the sensory register. In planning a lesson, an instructional aid will most importantly serve to enhance difficult key points of the lesson. Evaluation of demonstrated ability during flight instruction must be based upon established standards of performance suitably modified to account for student experience level. Had that one like 4 times. And in this teaching lecture, instructors should use simple rather than complex words whenever possible. Maybe this exam should take that advice. Use simple rather than complex words whenever possible. Chronic fatigue as a result of psychological problems and or psychological issues may be evidenced by a student pilot's apparent unwarranted risk-taking as a result of impaired judgment. One stage of skill may be characterized by a student ability to assess personal progress and make adjustments in performance. Associative stage. Which method of lesson delivery is most helpful when introducing the use of GPS? Demonstration performance. An adequately developed lesson falls logically into which steps in the teaching process? Preparation, presentation, application, review, and evaluation. How can the instructor help an impatient learner understand the need for preliminary training? The procedure and elements mastered in each step should be clearly identified in explaining or demonstrating the performance of the subsequent step. Which statement is true considering motivations? Motivations may be subtle and difficult to identify. Evaluation of demonstrating abilities, modifying the abilities learned at the lower stage of development. Sound like Joe Biden up in here. Which is the true regarding the length of the time devoted to practice? A beginning student may reach a point where additional practice can be unproductive and may even be harmful. Which statement is true regarding overlearning of knowledge? Overlearning sometimes occurs when knowledge used frequently begins to take on the properties of a skill. Taking physical or mental flight as a defense mechanism students use when they want to escape from frustrating situations. The basic telling and doing technique of instruction consists of several steps in the proper order. Your instructor tells, instructor does. Student tells, instructor does. Student tells, student does. The grouping of perceptions into a meaningful whole is called insights. When a student uses excuses to justify inadequate performance, is an indication of the defense mechanism known as rationalization. Instructor recognizing fatigue in a learner should take a break from the lesson, which is a situation shows repression as a defense mechanism. Student unable to bring the aircraft to a complete stall, inhibiting the learner from the maneuver. They're not allowing themselves to reach their full potential. Which memory system can be enhanced by rehearsal and repetition? That'd be short term. What are some characteristics of acute fatigue? It's true. Short term memory, you can memorize stuff for. But if you just like memorize stuff, you're not going to remember it long term. You have to understand it.
Oh yeah, trust me, I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah. Well, wait, what do you mean the hard? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How many emotions did you just go through?
Like 3. Maybe
nice.
4. Now I'm thinking about 5. Anyways, that's how I'm able to like explain all this stuff about like amps and volts and watts and batteries and chemistry and cars and RC stuff, because that was like my hobby. So like I understood it like real in depth. You know, kV of motors, prop size. You always want to oversize your prop on a gas engine, because if the engine stalls, it's not a big deal, but if it runs away, it'll blow up and that's bad. But an electric motor, you want to undersize, because if it's spinning at full RPM, that's fine. But if you load it too much, it'll overheat and burn out the coils on the stator or on the bell. But depends what type of brushless motor you have. But that's for a bell for an outboard brushless motor. Anyways, yeah, forget about it. What are some characteristics of acute fails fatigue? Errors in timing and attention, irritability, drill and practice methods of training deliveries based on the learning principles of exercise. I'm like 2/3 through. Which statement is true about multiple choice test items? Designing questions that call for essential knowledge rather than abstract background knowledge. Define the telling and doing technique, a variation of the demonstration performance method. Bro, it's the same thing, so why would we have to learn it twice? That's the confusing thing. Tell me that one. Riddle me that. Which of the following correctly identifies the accurate perception and understanding of the factors and conditions within the 4 fundamental risk elements that affect flight safety? Situational awareness. Education objective levels. The psychomotor domain include observation, imitation, practice, and habit. What is primary consideration in planning for skill acquisition? Time devoted to practice. One of the main advantages of selection type test items over supply type test items is a selection type would be graded objectively regardless of student or grader. When teaching from the known to unknown, teachers using students' previous experience and knowledge. Each lesson of a training syllabus includes objective content and completion standards. A student pilot who fails a practical test and attributes the failure to an unfair evaluation by the examiner may be determining projection. You're projecting your failure. Major levels of learning for the Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's has got the synthesis. That's right there, bro. Analysis, synthesis. When developing an instructional activity, what is the next step after overall blocks of learning? Well-planned lesson, new material related to the previous lesson. What is one way for instructors to promote development of insight? Secure, non-threatening. Major shortcoming commercial is that it makes you just memorize. So, aka this, aka Shepherd Air. During oral quizzing in a given lesson, effective questions should be limited to who, what, where, how, or why, not in combination. Who, what, where, how, or why, not in combination. Shh. Which obstacle to learning is a greater deterrent to learning pilot skills and is generally recognized? Impatience. Impotence. That's different than impatience.
Incompetence.
Well, for some. The development of any skill acquisition has 3 characteristic stages: cognitive, associative, and automatic. In most cases, why should instructors avoid using abstractions with learners? Because you don't know what it means. Change of behavior as a result of experience can be defined as learning. Section B to F are lesson content. Lesson plan, if constructed properly, provide an outline for the teaching procedure. Use of some type of association as rhymes or word patterns to assist in remembering information is called. Do you know what that is, Carla? The use of some type of association such as rhymes or word patterns to assist in remembering information is called.
Don't know and don't care.
No. You should know this one. You know this one. It's like PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. No.
No, not acronym. Wait. No, it also starts with an A. Oh, I can't.
No, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
No, I know what you're
Rhymes,
talking
word patterns.
No, my brain can't.
It begins with an M. It begins with an M that sounds like an N.
I can't say that word.
Devices. Devices.
That's not okay to say.
Mnemonic, Carla. Mnemonic devices.
I don't think mnemonic starts with an N.
Yes, it does. Look it up.
Really?
Yes, it's a silent
I thought it was
M.
one of those cases where it's like there's a P, a silent P.
Maybe it's written wrong on here.
A device such as a... It starts with an M.
Yeah, it starts with an M. I told you it starts with an M.
Mnemonic?
Yeah, it's a silent M at the beginning before the N.
That's so stupid.
It is stupid. We have this thing called English and it's dumb. I blame all the countries that the languages went into this, okay?
It might as well be pneumonia with
With a
M
P?
and E. Yeah. Like, that's so dumb. Literally so dumb. What? How does it start with an M? No sense.
Which
Wackadoo.
state of skill acquisition is characterized by the ability to perform a procedure rapidly and
Are you
smoothly?
almost done?
Yeah, I'm like halfway through. Just kidding. I'm like 3/4.
No, like, are you doing a practice test or are you reviewing that worksheet?
I'm reading through all the answers.
Oh, maybe I should, like, quiz you. But not right now.
I'm memorizing. What level of knowledge is being tested if asked? What is the significance of an aircraft's maneuvering speed listed in the pilot's operating handbook? Understanding. A sign that a pilot may be experiencing chronic fatigue is impaired pilot judgment and decision making. What is the main purpose of instructional aids to support? Aids. To support, supplement, or reinforce what is being taught. Aids. What is one characteristic? Cow. What is one characteristic of an authentic assessment? It requires the learner to exhibit in-depth knowledge. One of the risk elements in the decision-making process is identified as the airplane. Bro. What's the risk, airplane? No, like, but what about the risk of airplane? The airplane is the risk. Okay. What performance feedback should an effective critique contain? Performance above and below the standard, including individual parts and overall performance. The distinguished characteristics of an informal lecture is the active student participation. The effective domain provides for teaching in which 5 levels: awareness, response, value, organization, and integration. A student continually reverts back to bad habits they learned in the beginning of their flight training. Students of a certain guy that went to fly in Wisconsin.
Went to fly in Wisconsin?
Yeah. I have hiccups now. I gave myself hiccups.
Talking about Hobie?
No, what? A certain instructor that went to go fly in Wisconsin. Maybe it was Michigan. Pretty sure it was Wisconsin though. Freight.
Hold on. That state starts with an M. Minnesota.
Is it Minnesota? I thought it was. Okay, whatever. Anyways.
Where's Minneapolis?
Basically, insert that meme from Spider-Man of Doc Ock saying, "Hello, Peter." Anyways. Moving on. That's primacy. The primary objective is integrated flight instruction is the development of a habit of instrument trust check, instrument interpretation, and of controlling an aircraft by visual references. The basic demonstrate performance method of instruction contains... I can't talk. I'm stuck in an accent now. Wow. Consists of several steps in proper order. They are explanation, demonstration, student performance, instructor supervision, and evaluation. When under stress, individuals usually react. Rapid reaction, extreme sensitivity. To communicate effectively, instructors must reveal a position, positive attitude while delivering their message. The effectiveness of communication between instructor and student is measured by the similarity between the idea and transmitted and the idea received. Effective use of instruction, cross-country navigation is benefit integration. Alright, during the flight portion of the that's on the test, by the way. That's on the test. Remember that.
Really?
During the flight portion of a practical test, how much woodchuck could a woodchuck chuck off woodchuck could wood? Seashells by the seashore. Seashells by the seashore. During the flight portion of practical test, the examiner simulates complete loss of engine power. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's correlation. I don't think that's correlation at all. But okay, maybe. What is one advantage of a lecture? Lecture is effective in showing related theories between theory and practice. True false is guessable. Rote memory is going to be true false. Overconfident learner can become a challenge to the instructor because of lack of motivation. Wait, so me? Oh. Acute fatigue manifests itself by performance deficiency that are apparent to others before an individual notice any physical signs of fatigue. Students quickly become apathetic when they perceive that instructor is not adequately prepared. A sign that a student may be experiencing acute fatigue is neglecting secondary tasks. Which statement is true regarding professionalism? Anything less than sincere performance. Acute fatigue is characterized by error accumulation and attention distractibility. A selective process where the sensory register recognizes the stimuli and transmits them to short-term memory. That's pre-coding. Pre-coding. Which factor affecting perception has the greatest impact on the perceptual process? That self-concept. A learner feels belonging, after which basic needs are fulfilled. Physically safe and comfortable. Commercially developed test. Blah blah blah. What is the possible consequence of overlearning? Automated routines. Chronic fatigue. You're not recovering from acute fatigue. Alright, Carla. Obtuse or acute angles? Which one's
Obtuse,
better?
rubber goose, green goose, guava juice.
What?
Ice cake, birthday cake, something chocolate. It's Fairly Odd Parents.
No idea. I've never seen it before. Actually, I've watched like a few seconds of it.
Such a good cartoon.
Then I guess we have to watch it.
Like, it's silly because it's a children's show.
Yeah.
But it's good. Oh, parents, parents. Okay, back to the question. I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to repeat it.
Obtuse or acute?
What's the question?
Angles. Which is better?
Oh, is this part of the question? Like,
No.
is this part of
No,
the
this is
exam?
me making something up. This is my question.
Acute.
Good. Good. I was gonna say acute too.
If you were an angle, you'd be a cute one. I hate geometry. Did you know that?
A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Pythagorean.
Pythagorean theorem?
Yeah. Parents for failure. They were the 3 types of icing.
Yeah. Do you know the 3 types of icing?
I'm asking you.
You're asking me? Okay. Rime icing. Super cool water droplets. And the rime is the really thin one, right? And then the other one's the one that runs back on the wing. I forget, to be honest.
Okay, the 3 categories. So, super cool water droplets are a type of icing. The 3 categories, or the 3 types, are rime, clear, and mixed. And SWD. Yeah, looks like super cool water ones are the most dangerous because they are the ones that can like
Accumulate really quickly.
yeah,
And
so
make
like it hits,
giant sections.
right. So like it hits the wing and then it rolls back because it's water and then it like instantly
Freezes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beyond where a boot would be able to take care of it.
Right, because boots are like on the leading edge of the wing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What if I just made
But
my whole wing a
Cessnas
boot?
don't have. Well, no, not Cessna Skyhawks don't have boots.
Citations.
The 310 has boots. Citations is another good one.
Boots are cute.
What
We
the
should get boots.
deuce? Oh
What the
no, I got
boots?
spaghetti sauce on my book. Hold on.
No!
Oh, it's been
Not the
ruminating for
spaghetti
like
sauce!
2 hours, dude. Ew, okay, give me a second.
Performance based, blah 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 blah. Skill conditions criteria. It's reliable, repeated consistency, main advantages. Rarely found with other instructional techniques. Authentic assessment. Application and correlation. Students subconsciously defense mechanism rationalization. They can't accept the real reason for their behavior. Preparing them for real life intensity. Performance for an operation procedure or process. Learner had a clear logical absent response. Not teach at a higher level. You need to teach at a higher level. How can an instructor reinforce enjoyable and pleasurable experience of flying? They can counter feelings of anxiety in the learner during integrated flight. For instruction, the instructor must be sure that the student develops the habit of looking for at the traffic in addition to referencing flight instruments. Insights as applied to learning involve a person's relating and grouping. Less time, teaching lecture, training flights. Interject realistic distractions to see if they're better at tension and stuff. Law of learning is used when instructor teaches the classroom scenario followed by real-life practice. That'd be recency. How is learning achieved while using guided discussion training delivery method by categorizing questions by function and characteristics. Integrated flight instruction has many benefits, but the main objective is to help students develop habit patterns. For integrated method of flight instruction to be fully effective, the instrument reference should begin the first time each maneuver is introduced. An instructional strategy which organizes students in small groups is cooperative. Properly developed plan should promote uniformity. Acute fatigue, lack of awareness, error accumulation, evaluation, demonstrability. Flight instruction must be based on established standards of performance in a effective way. Assessment of learners' performance should provide direction and guidance to improve their performance. Understand cognitive domain, assess the learning correlation, application, proper sequence of the subparts of instructions, attention, motivation, overview. Study suggests the person forgets information, fading. Flight computer demonstration performance, instruction taking place when procedure and desired response has occurred. Fact question, memory or recall. Abstract words cannot be directly experienced. Written test. Reduces probability with matching. Application strategy for dealing with a learner who projects the blame for shortcomings is assigning reasonable and obtainable goals. Falsify reality. Where is information for future use stored? Long-term memory. Systematic classification scheme for sorting. Taxonomy. An instructor can counteract anxiety in a student by reinforcing the habits to help to cope with their fears. This part of the song hits right here. Sorry. Which is accepted procedure using integrated method. Instructions outside by visual references, integrated with flight instruments for the same operation. Developing lesson. Instructors should organize explanations and demonstration to help the student achieve the desired learning outcome. Most significant characteristics for factor affecting perception is proportional to the effective use of properly executed training syllabus, time, and opportunity. Assessment of student learning should be an integral part of each lesson. Finding opportunities for student practice, the exercise, evaluation of them based on lessons, lesson plan. Very communicative speech approach. Bewildered or lost. That's not good. Because they don't have the fundamentals, they're going to resign. Daydreaming. Defense mechanism of fantasy. Me all day long. With Carla. This training, Spanish, supply type, test items, going to be great with uniformity. Faulty performance due to student overconfidence. Increase the performance level. Oral questions should be adapted to stage learning. Effective domain. Attitude, beliefs, and values. Reals effective structure trade tools. Can the recoding be described? Relating of information. Concepts already in memory. Every lesson, when adequately developed, falls logically into steps of the teaching process. In a guided discussion, learning is skillful use of questions. Relationship of the main points. Unshakable impression, the first stuff, primacy. What is the characteristic of supply type test items? Different instructors probably giving different scores. Comprehensive written tests, measures overall objectives. Principle of learning often determines the sequence of lectures within a course of instruction. I've got like 1/10 left here. Principle of recency.
That's fine. I'm gonna go on Apex.
For real?
I just.
I'll play with you. Give me a minute.
Oh, you want to play?
But yeah.
Oh, okay.
What purpose of performance-based objective? Well, yeah. But
it's raining tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes, that gives me time to read at the airport. I can't believe I'm excited to read.
Oh yeah, I found the book, and then I forgot to bring it home again, so there's that.
Where is it? Is it in a safe spot?
Yeah, it's in a safe spot.
Oh, well, no one would steal it anyway.
I picked it up in the morning, I was looking at it, and then Mark came in, and then I had to do work, and so then I was working all the way till noon, basically.
Oh, where is it?
It's just sitting under the window.
There's a lot of windows.
Okay, by the antenna for the FlightAware receiving station, ground station.
The ADSB ground station.
Yeah.
I don't even remember putting it there, but then again, I don't remember anything that happened that day.
Maybe I put it there. Who knows? I don't remember. It was really busy. It got hectic quick. Oh. Insights as applied learning involved persons, grouping of associated with meaningful wholes, statement of instructors, assessment of student performance, a step in the learning process, not just in the grading process. Awareness, response, value, organizing, integration, teaching lecture, key perceptions for subtle responses from the class. Most productive ways to develop skill acquisition, memorize the process as a whole, clearly understand the question, Which statement is true regarding overlearning of knowledge? Overlearning sometimes occurs when it's used too properly. It's a skill. Pre-coding. A selective process where sensory registers set to recognize certain stimuli and transfer to short-term memory. The STEM is the question, statement, or problem. Facts and concepts is cognitive. Use a variety of channels during the communication. Learner will be more attentive to the lesson. And communication, as an aviation instructor, should consider familiarization. Motor skill abilities of learners may vary. An example of skill involving the psychomotor domain would be operating sophisticated maintenance equipment. And why must the instructor create and assemble learning blocks in the proper relationship? The answer: to help the learner master the individual segments and progressively combine them with related segments to achieve the desired objective. The end. Good night, everybody.
That was really dramatic of you.
Now you just ruined the ending.
Oh. I thought you had already ended it.
Well, it's gonna, but then you talked, so I'm not gonna, because then it'll cut it off halfway through.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It was a good ending.
Okay. Master the individual segments and progressively combine them with related segments to achieve the desired objective.